Haaland, Phil Foden. Now, for me, they've all got their own right, their own chance of winning.
Such a legend, this guy. Lights, camera, action.
We're off this week. First game, Liverpool versus Forest. I mean, it was poor from Liverpool. They looked awful, I thought. I mean, just didn't look the side they have been over. I mean, not saying over the season, but the side they were against City. I mean, they were really poor. For Salah, I think Salah completed 4 passes in the game.
You know, what a great performance from Forest on the weekend. I thought they were thoroughly deserving of the win. I feel for Liverpool it'll really stunt their progress, you know, coming off the back of, I think it was 3 wins now, you know, the West Ham, the City win was massive for them, so I thought they'd keep kind of the ball rolling, but no. Their progress has been stunted, and for Forest this is fantastic for them. They're now joint bottom of the league, I know, still on 9 points, but hopefully this will be the kickstart to the season that Nottingham Forest need.
I thought Dean Henderson was good. I thought Forest looked good all game. I thought, you know, they could have got 3 or 4 goals, deserved all 3 points, and I think Liverpool will be scratching their heads and thinking, what on earth? And Forest, still bottom of the table. It's tough for them, that, isn't it? Obviously, on to yours. How did you feel about the Blues on Saturday?
Oh, well, I had a great weekend, you know. For those that saw on the Instagram, I was fortunate enough to be there. Obviously, we got the 3-1 win, and yeah, all I can say is Erling Haaland is inevitable. And fair play to Brighton, you know, after that second half, they really came out in that fighting spirit, gave it a good go, you know, got a goal back. But, I mean, when you've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne in your team, which can make a goal out of nothing and just stick the ball top bins, it was unbelievable, seeing unbelievable limbs at the stadium.
What about the penalty decisions?
Penalty decisions, well, funnily enough, the VAR monitor was right in front of me, so I could see everything kind of that was going on. I thought it was a penalty. I mean, I had you, Jimmy, texting me midway through the game saying, penalty, penalty.
I'll let him sit and gloat. There's not much to say. They're pretty good. They're very good. They're going to win the league. Like, it's going to happen. And they beat Brighton. Thought Trossard was a good game. Brighton gave something, but...
So anyway, when it comes to talking about Manchester City, I don't think I'm the right man for the job. In fact...
You're definitely not.
Hey, come on, less of that, you. We've got the legend that is MCFC Lads, Luke Stanley, Chompy as I know him. So Chompy, over to you. My question's this. Out of Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland and Phil Foden, which of these 3 Manchester City players, if any, are the most likely to win the Ballon d'Or?
Of that amazing trio, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden. Now, for me, they've all got their own right, their own chance of winning that award. But I think the most likely has to be Erling Haaland. Kevin De Bruyne is 31 and his chances of winning the award have to be in the next 1 or 2 seasons. But I think the sheer amount of goals Haaland is scoring puts him as the favourite. Foden popping up with the goals and assists. It's such a stat-dominated world we live in terms of football nowadays. So because of that, and because of just the beast he is, I think Erling Haaland is the favourite. If De Bruyne is going to win it, it'll be in the next couple of years. And I think if Foden's going to win it, he's probably 4 or 5 years away. But we'll see. I think Haaland's the favourite.
You know what, it's hard to deny it the way Erling started the season so far. But being a Stockport lad myself, I really, really hope Phil Foden can be the man to bring Stockport a Ballon d'Or. I mean, we've been waiting for it all our lives.
I mean, as much as Madeira would love to bring a Ballon d'Or to Stockport, I think Aidan McIlhill is your best chance. So I'm going to go with Haaland. I think it's Haaland. I think he's the enigma, isn't he? He's the guy at the moment. He's the best goal scorer on the planet right now. He's dangerous. He's breaking records. He's quick. He's good in the air. He's got everything you need. He'll probably win many Ballon d'Ors, let alone one.
My next question that I've got for you is this. Obviously, I was at the Manchester City versus Brighton match and we saw the fans. But I want to know is, where do those Brighton fans rank in amongst the away fans in the Premier League?
Following the 3-1 win at the Etihad for City against Brighton is, how do their fans rank in terms of the rest of the Premier League? Now, to be fair, I was at Brighton around a year ago and their home fans disappointed me a little bit, but we did batter them. Whereas at the game at the weekend, I was actually quite impressed. Brighton actually managed to bring a full 3-tier allocation to the Etihad. Some teams don't manage that. And they were reasonably loud, of course, losing 3-1, but the chants were going for most of the game. Pretty impressed with Brighton fans. So I'd say they rank somewhere in the middle, maybe slightly above the middle after today. But their home fans did disappoint me. So I'd say somewhere in the middle they rank. Not too poor, not amazing. But I'd say they're pretty decent.
To be fair, Brighton's away fans, I mean, I've seen them have some decent games. I was at an Everton match once last season when McAllister bagged a few, and they were really loud. They offered a lot. They were winning games though. I guess City away, you go in there, it's a long way from the south. But they're not bad. They're not great though. Don't get me wrong. You're not writing home about them. And the last thing I wanted to know was, how high is the ceiling for this Pep Guardiola team? What can they go on to achieve?
I actually don't think there is a ceiling. If you talk about some of the great Manchester City teams of recent years, we've got that 2017-18 side. Nobody thought that could hit 100 points, and we did. Outrageous. And I think there is almost no ceiling on this team. We've had a few unfortunate results, such as that Liverpool one last week, but I honestly think the sky is the limit for this team. I think we're going to win the Prem. I think we're going to win the Champions League, and I think we're going to win one of the domestic cups, falling short in one of the others. The treble is coming home. I think, honestly, the sky is the limit for this Pep Guardiola side. And yeah, thanks again for Spectate, for getting me on. And make sure you drop a like, subscribe. Cheers.
I'd love to agree with you because I do love that team, but I can't see winning the Champions League. I think Don Carlo's got too much, and it'll be Real Madrid that do it.
I mean, you know me, I couldn't have put it any better myself. Premier League, Champions League, and like you said, maybe even one more. The treble is coming to Manchester, and that's the blue side of Manchester this year. And yeah, just want to say big shout out to Chompy at MCFC LADS. What a legend, and if you're not following him already, go and follow him. He's probably got the biggest Manchester City fan account out there. And I think one year Mark Goldbridge said, City, where's your fan account? Well, here it is, Mark. Get at him. He's coming for your title. So, Righty, talk to me about the Everton game on the weekend.
You know what? I think it's about time everyone owes a bit of an apology to Lampard. They look really solid. They're structured in defence. They're carrying the ball well through the midfield. He's got players that are playing out their skin, that are very average footballers, that are turning into some really useful footballers. I mean, you look at Alex Iwobi, it's like a Joelinton case. You put him in a different position, in a different type of side, and all of a sudden you get this unbelievable footballer, 2 assists. That goal that Anthony Gordon scored, if City had scored, that'd be on billboards around the whole of Manchester. I couldn't believe it. Passing it around the back, moving it forward. Okay, keeper error, given offside, then gets given. Terrible decision, by the way. He's bounced that far on. But I thought they looked great. And I mean, Palace, I think, will be slightly concerned because Palace have been a very good side this year. Zaha couldn't get into the game. They put 2 men on him. They basically just ushered him away. Could have been sent off with an awful elbow. I don't know how he didn't get sent off, actually. But yeah, I just thought Everton looked good. Looking like a solid side for this season. Before I talk about the game, you're a manager of a football club right now. Who would you rather have at the helm, Ten Hag or Potter?
Oh, good question. I think there's 2 sides to this argument. On the one hand, you've got a serial winner in Ten Hag. What he did with the Ajax team back home in the Netherlands was phenomenal. And then on the other hand, Graham Potter, experienced manager in the Premier League. He's proven that he can do it with Brighton and take a pretty much bang average side and turn them into a pretty formidable, stable side in the Premier League. Weighing it up, I personally would rather go for Ten Hag because, he's done it before. He's won the Eredivisie with Ajax. He's come up with the goods. He's a winner at the end of the day. And that kind of leader, that kind of inspiration is the kind of man that I'd want my club leading me forward. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ten Hag.
I think you showed it on the weekend too. Despite the result, I think United looked the better side. What did you think?
Yeah, I probably agree with you there. On the whole, United probably the better side. Coming out with a point at the end of the game. I mean, in the balance, United probably edged it, but I don't think they did enough to get the 3 points. So yeah. Also in an emphatic way. Casemiro, what a header. I mean, what an ending to a game, and it was 2 goals probably in the last 5-6 minutes. Header, penalty, what a winner that was, leaping out, Casemiro, boom.
Potter could see pretty early on that they were getting dominated, they were being outplayed. Rashford should have scored early. I thought he missed a big chance. And then he makes a sub, he takes a player out, he changes his formation. And we've seen him do this a few times this season, Potter. He's very fickle with his formation. Took it, changed it, they soaked up the pressure, they looked okay. Nothing special. I mean, that Chelsea squad I still think is subpar. I mean, if you look at the side they started, they really are subpar. And I mean, I think Potter's doing a good job. Sterling though, I don't know what's going on there. He looks lost. He's a bit of a busy idiot sometimes. Tries to get involved, then he sort of steps out of the game for too long, then he goes too wide. Decision making was poor. I just thought he was really, really unimpressive. And I think, a point in the grand scheme of things, a fair result. Neither team really showed up, but I thought if I had to pick a side on the day, United.
Yeah, so let's move on to Sunday's games.
Yeah.
First off, Aston Villa 4-0 against Brentford.
Firing. They played with complete conviction. They looked hungry. They had desire back. It was like a Premier League team again. It was like they'd gone limp-handed and soft under Gerrard. There was no passion, no desire. You got players like Ings, lethal finisher, bang, straight back in the goals with 2. Leon Bailey looked like a different man. He looked, fantastic finish for the goal. Nice little assist here and there. Ball forward then. Watkins' goal is probably one of the most Watkins goals I've seen. I think he has about 4 attempts at it. But he gets his goal back on the score sheet. Brentford never turned up. They never stood a chance. I think it's massive for Villa that. And then obviously in comes Unai Emery. It's massive for them.
Good evening.
It's huge. Obviously, Premier League record not great. The man's won the Europa League a lot of times. He's done very well in Spain. He looks a great manager when he's been at the top of his game. So you never know. I think high hopes for Villa now. You'd hope at least. The squad's decent enough, so we'll see.
If you're an Aston Villa fan, that's exactly the reaction you'd want to see from your players. 3 goals in 15 minutes at home at Villa Park. With Steven Gerrard walking out the door, this kind of reaction, it shows they've got fire in the belly. They want to stay in the Premier League and they want to push themselves onto that top half. And that's exactly what they showed against Brentford this weekend. Throughout the game, Brentford, I don't think they stood a chance. I thought Villa were too strong. Your Watkins, your Ings up top. They're a formidable force when they're playing well together and going forward. So yeah, credit to Aston Villa for bouncing back in the way that they did.
And we'll stick with West London clubs and play my favourite game of the week is James Madeira, who scored for Fulham this weekend.
Oh, here we go. Three goal scorers for Fulham. It was 3-2. I've not got my contact lenses in, so I can't see what's
You're not looking at that.
Mitrovic, he scored again! Hey, what did I say? Mitrovic, 15 goals this season.
You said that's too many, I scored.
The other 2 goal scorers?
Bobby Decordova-Reid and Willian. They've looked brilliant this season. Marco Silva's got them playing and kind of the way he wants them to play. They're good off the ball. The way they press off the ball is really interesting. It's not like a constant pressure. It's like a wait, and then all of a sudden they're there in 3s and 4s, hunting him like wolf packs almost. Willian looked fantastic, which was really interesting. He looked sharp, he looked fit, he looked like he had a desire to play football again. Mitrovic is formidable. I said it last week about Marco's magic Mitrovic. Well, he was magic again. Turned up, scored a goal. It's what he does. It's what he does. I can't say that on camera. Arsenal. Winning streak came to an end. Still not lost that game, but how do you think they played?
Well, I definitely think it was 2 points dropped for Arsenal, instead of a point gained. I thought Ramsdale was probably at fault for the Saints goal. A bit disappointed in him because I thought, if he keeps on with these strong performances, then he'd be looking closer and closer to that England #1 spot. But as it stands, I'm a little bit unsure. But yeah, Mikel Arteta, he should take confidence. Sometimes you've got to grind through these games. He's still top of the league, can I say? Manchester City is still behind.
Last week we were asked the question of who we think the most. I think it was the biggest turnaround story this year, or the player that surprised the most. And I think that it has to go to no other man than Granit Xhaka. He looks amazing. I've always said to people, he's never been a 4. This whole DM thing of him playing further behind has been something that has been created and pushed through certain managers. But actually, he is a 6 or even an 8. He's really good on the ball, he moves it well, he gets so stuck in, as we know. Obviously a hothead, he's had some bad seasons, don't get me wrong, no one is brushing over that, he's been poor. But he's playing in a role that's actually his role, and he looks amazing. Scoring goals, scored midweek last week, scored at the weekend, and a good goal as well. Like, he's in the right positions at the right time, looks up for it, looks happy. I'm happy for him as well, because he's had it really hard. It cannot be easy having an entire club booing you off the pitch, having the old saga off the pitch of like taking his shirt off and all that. And then you've got this set of Arsenal fans. The one that drives me mad is Troops. You've got Troops who's giving it massive about Arteta and Xhaka. He was the biggest Xhaka hater and the biggest Arteta out person. Bit of perspective for you in football, reactionary. Arsenal are a side that hosts a lot of very top Brazilian players, but there was a different Brazilian man that stood out at St Mary's. What did you think of Lyanco's performance at the back?
I thought he was fantastic. I thought to be honest, he's a player that I don't know too much about. I thought he was solid. He won his one-on-one battles, his aerial duels, his all-round centre-back play was fantastic. The ball at the feet, the guy can do anything you want him to do. So Brendan Rodgers and Leicester were somewhat unstoppable away at Molineux. What did you think of the game?
Well, they were unstoppable and they looked fantastic. But if I'm correct, I think Wolves had 21 shots and 6 on target, and Leicester had 5 shots and 4 on target. 4 shots on target, 4 goals. Formidable in front of goal. Leicester have been a leaky side for quite a long time, and They look like they might have sharpened up with Woot at the back. He looks a really good centre-half. Vardy coming back into the side, looking electric. Barnes is scoring goals. Maddison's back in. I think they look great.
So my highlight of the week was, in fact, from that game, Jamie Vardy. You know, you see him. He was necking a can of Red Bull before he came on. Gets on the pitch, scores a tap-in, then runs off to the corner flag, giving it Wolves fans the big one. You know, howling like a werewolf. The guy, I just love him. And the stat now is over 30s. Jamie Vardy is the first player to reach 100 Premier League goals. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. What a career he's had, from where he's come from to where he is now. He 100% deserves that movie that's going to be made after him.
Arguably the second probably biggest game of the weekend. You had Newcastle Spurs. What was your take on that?
Newcastle, well, I said it earlier on this year. This is the year that they'll be back in Europe. Oh man, what a performance away from home, on the road at Tottenham. Miggy Almiron on fire once again. He's continued that form after that Jack Grealish slander. I mean, you can't stop the guy. And Eddie Howe, what he's done to that Newcastle side is unbelievable. They're a completely different team to what they were a few years ago. The defence is solid as anything. I think they've conceded the least amount of goals in the Premier League this season. I tip my hat to you, Eddie Howe. Fantastic job you're doing here.
I mean, James just mentioned it, but Miguel Almiron Relaja, what a footballer. He's come into his own this season, playing that direct roll off the right. Callum Wilson with a nice goal. Arguably a foul. I saw Ben Foster tweeting that actually, you know, if that's not a goalkeeper and that's just a normal player out of the field and he's getting dropped off the ball like that, the referee is probably going to give it, and I would probably agree with that. Thought Kane looked good. Couple chances in the first half. Son had a few from distance, but Spurs never really got going. I thought Dyer's someone I've praised a lot this season. I think Harry Dyer's had a really good year. He was god-awful, like really god-awful. Some terrible passes, a lot of danger at the back. Lloris not good enough, unfortunately, and it cost them. And Conte's furious, but you know what? Eddie Howe, he deserved it. James said he tips his hat. I second that. West Ham Bournemouth to finish the weekend. I thought West Ham looked great. I mean, they looked solid. They dominated the game, never really gave away too much. I thought Flynn Downs looked really good, really nice young English prospect, a really good player. Skamaka's one of these players where I just want him to breathe sometimes. You can see the talent's there, but his mind is going at a million miles an hour. It's got to be flicked and off and passed and given. If he just takes a touch sometimes, uses his own ability, uses his feet, could become even more dangerous than he is. Ben Ram with another goal. He's doing everything he can to push into this Moyes side. He's either a terrible trainer or has a terrible relationship with Moyes, because there has to be a reason he's not starting every game. Because when he plays, he's fantastic. West Ham back on the way up. Obviously a loss for Bournemouth. I don't think they're going to be too disheartened by it. They've had a good run of fixtures. Might be their first loss under... Oh no, they lost last week to Southampton. But one of their first losses under Gary O'Neill. But, you know, everyone seems to go down this season. They're not going down at the minute. I think they might in the end of the season, but we'll have to wait and see. West Ham will be happy. David Moyes, oldest manager in the league, beats the youngest manager in the league, Gary O'Neill.
So that concludes this week's episode of the Football Hangover. Really hope you enjoy it, and if you do, drop us a like, subscribe, all that YouTube nonsense. Myself and Righty, we're actually playing this weekend for our new team, Fruit Loops FC, up here in Newcastle. Would love it if you could drop your predictions in, you know, if you think any of us will get a goal, assist, what you think the score would be. Yeah, just get it in the comments. Also comment, who do you think will get more goals, me or Righty?
Oh, banker. Don't even get odds on him.
I know who I'm backing.
Nice.